This 9th entry in my Handyman Diaries begins with replacing a garage door. And that theme of replacement shows up a lot in this episode. You know, there's like the working systems in our homes, and they're in constant and perpetual need of replacement. Now, I didn't film a whole lot of the garage door job, but I worked that day with a dude named Ron, and we retrofitted an old single-car garage with a nice new door. After that one, I had a couple pressure washing jobs, and I gotta say that I sort of have mixed feelings about pressure washing, as in my experience, you kind of get like a better, more thorough clean with hand scrubbing and rinsing with water. I just gotta say that. That's just the way I see it. But the deal with hand scrubbing an entire house is that it's really time consuming, and there's usually places you can't even reach. So I was pretty happy to be pressure washing this day. Plus, the deal with the pressure washer, especially like a gas powered pressure washer or a hot water pressure washer, is that it's an incredibly satisfying machine to run. If you haven't tried one out, you just gotta do it. It's just, maybe it's an acquired taste or something, but it's really, really satisfying. It was definitely a little bit wet out there on a cold day, but I even spritzed out the already pretty clean gutters to the point that you could practically eat off them. Now this is the second pressure washer job, and it was just a couple miles away. For an appetizer, it kind of started out with some tree trimming. So I did the tree trimming, put the branches and stuff in the trailer, and then it was on to water blasting, which included doing this screened-in porch. Now, I didn't dare blast the screens, and I really do not advise pressure washing screens, even though it's kind of tempting to do it. And the reason I didn't do that is that, you know, pressure washers, man, they will just wipe stuff out. Like, if you pressure wash wood siding, you can just rip the siding apart. They're pretty much intended for, like solid plastics and concrete and surfaces like that. But the porch itself was looking pretty good after the pressure washing. The dirt, I don't think you can really see it, but the dirt was just kind of like pouring out the doors and down the steps. I also cleaned my camera while I was at it. All right, next up, I had a couple doors to work on. One was an accordion door that was off its tracks. And, you know, when are accordion doors not off their tracks? I mean, I could probably do nothing more than fix accordion doors like day in, day out, sun up to sundown, and make a pretty good income. And then after the accordion door was running again, I had to work on this door, which needed to be shortened. Okay, so the deal is that a thicker carpet had been added to the room, and what had been a pretty happy door became an unhappy door because now it was dragging on the thicker carpet. Now, you could plane a door like that, and I've done that, but I find that my plane always catches on the side panels. That's because the wood grain goes a different direction with the side panels, and I don't know, maybe you need like a psychotically sharp plane or something, but mine just doesn't do it, so I prefer to just cut them down with a really sharp blade on a circular saw, going nice and slow so you don't get tear out. And after the door had been shortened, I tuned up the edge a bit and got that door back in place. Check it out. No more dragging on the carpet for you, Mr. Door.
More and more and more cars. More on our roads than last year. And there'll be more next year.
After that, I had a dead branch to pull out. And this was kind of like an elective job. And here's what I mean by that. You may remember that I had abandoned this very branch a few weeks back, maybe a few months back, vowing not to mess with it. You know, it was like a little bit high and a little dangerous and kind of out of my league. But for some reason, the thought of it breaking free, like breaking all the way free and crashing down in this poor gal's house, it just kept like nagging at me. I kept thinking about it. I kept wondering, like, did she ever take care of that branch? So finally, I sent her a message. I said, hey, I want to take another crack at that branch if it's still there. She was like, yeah, it's still there. Come on over. So I parked in the ditch beside the house because I just thought that was kind of cool. I had to climb the metal fence, but whatever. It was kind of cool to put the truck in the ditch. And I roped up to the branch. Like I put a rope on it and then I threaded the rope through an anchor point, and I think I was in good shape. Now, it's probably a good thing that my camera died and you didn't get any footage of me actually lowering the branch to the ground, but it made it to the ground. That's the important thing. It also kind of got embedded in my ladder. So anyway, the first thing I had to do was deal with separating the branch and the ladder. I don't think I ever mentioned it, but I actually got this chainsaw and another one and a second chainsaw for free. When a dude, and this is a couple years ago, he was selling like this big pile of stuff in his garage for $500, like all kinds of stuff. So I bought the whole pile, like everything, including the 2 chainsaws, and then I turned around and slowly sold everything else piece by piece until I made back the $500 and had myself the 2 free chainsaws. It was pretty awesome. I'm proud of myself for that one. Now, it probably took me like 3 weeks and a lot of gas money and endless Craigslist ads and all that. But in my somewhat damaged and deranged mind, it all made sense. And I'm still kind of like proud of myself for getting those chainsaws.
You will travel swiftly, easily, and safely, because safety for the traveling public is engineered right into the plan.
All right, next job, tending to, kind of nursing this somewhat old, not quite falling down 2-car garage. All right, the deal here is that we've got some rot on the sill. Kind of bad in places, you know, down here. And then other places not too bad, but then it gets rotten again. Also, a few of the 2x4s are shot. This one in particular. So, this is the good side. This side over here is just totally rotted through. So, I think I'll start with the good side and see how far I can get. So I started out by bracing all of the 2x4s, you know, all the framing in there that I was going to cut out. And I stabilized it, or, you know, kind of like semi-stabilized it with my farm jack. That seemed to work pretty well, so I started hacking away at the sill plate. It turns out the sill plate was this kind of light, rotten, papery consistency. You know, like just what you look for in the wood that's tasked with supporting an entire structure. And I was just pulling it out with my hands. Like it was really ready to go. Now the concrete sill underneath the sill plate, the concrete sill was doing pretty good. It looked good to me. So it was time to rebuild everything for, you know, the next handyman in 50 years or whenever, when he comes along. Alright, here's a look at this side rebuilt. You can see the sill plate is now pressure treated. All the rotten guys are gone. I sistered on to most of them just for stability. And one last thing I gotta do. I didn't do this yet. I've got to sink some concrete bolts into the sill just so that this guy doesn't come in and out. So I've got it where I want it and I just want to keep it there. So I'll put a bolt down here. Put a bolt in each bay. That'll hold. I also rebuilt the upper windowsills in this structure. There were 2 of them up there next to that middle door, and they were completely toasted. The windowsills were just messed up, and they weren't really matched up with the windows anymore. So I've shown you guys how I do this before, and I won't give you a bunch of footage about it now. Basically what I do is I just rip out the old sill, I replace it, you know, make a new one, shim it up, get it all snug so that it sheds water, and then goop it with some high quality paintable polyurethane sealant. Alright, lunchtime. Here's where I got.
Major factors in this mounting loss of life are the roads and highways themselves.
And the final job of the day brought me back to this little shed I was re-roofing in the last episode. Now that job was done, and I'd been paid and everything, but I wanted to add a bit of flashing on the weathery end, the side that gets the most rain and snow and everything. And I still had to black tar goop a couple of nail heads. There's always a couple nail heads left when you do that ridge cap on a roof. So there you go. Now it's finally done. All right, this has been another entry in my Handyman Diary. It's not really how to do it, but more just a story of how I did it. All right, thanks for checking it out.